The Blast from Our Past Network.
Hey everybody, Corey here.
And it's me, Zach.
We wanted to tell you about our new show called The Coscarelli Factor.
You can find it on our Patreon at patreon.com/podcastingafterdark. The Coscarelli Factor covers every single film that Don Coscarelli has directed. And some other little bonus features in there too, like maybe the music videos he directed as well.
That's right. You can find all the episodes under the Auteur de Force tier on our Patreon page. Like Zach said, that's patreon.com/podcastingafterdark. And if you sign up today, you will get access to the complete Carpenter Factor series, where Zach and I went through every single movie that John Carpenter directed, from Dark Star all the way to, well, all the way till the end. So sign up today to our Patreon page and you can unlock all kinds of other things as well, like ad-free episodes and our monthly wrap-up After Dark show.
Patreon helps keep the lights on in the podcasting After Dark world. It gets pretty dark out there at night, and all your support keeps us from getting too scared.
And thank you to everyone who's signed up to our Patreon page. We really appreciate it. And as always,
we'll catch you on the dark side.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom. Tonight's episode, the Podcasting After Dark exclusive commentary for Deranged, starring Robert Blossom, Cosette Lee, and Leslie Carlson.
Hey Zach, what are the most trustworthy type of women in the world?
Fat ones. Yep, fat ones. Actually, that's not me talking, that's Ezra Cobb talking from today's motion picture. I was going to say, in May of 2025, two men got together to record a podcast and were never seen again. What you're about to hear is that recording. If you know the whereabouts of Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer, please email podcastingafterdark@gmail.com or sign up at patreon.com/podcastingafterdark and help contribute to the fund of finding Corey and Zach today. Because they did a commentary track for the 1974 film Deranged and were never seen again. Did they fall into the toilet? I have no idea. Why am I using this voice? I have no idea. Why are you listening to this? Because you are an awesome person. Keep listening for more information. I don't know what just happened there. It was weird. It was like a weird vision just came through.
Zach, I think I see the narrator behind you. I think he's talking to somebody, a phantom camera maybe.
I'm eating my poutine because I'm Canadian, and all Canadians eat poutine and watch the cartoon The Raccoons.
That's actually funny. There was no poutine eating in Deranged.
No, well, because it took place in Wisconsin. But okay, sorry, everybody. Sorry for the giggles and laughs, ha-ha.
Because there's not many giggles and laughs in the movie.
No, this is one of our darker films with a very dark comedic side to it, but it's 1974's Deranged. Corey and I, this intro precedes the commentary track that we recorded for the movie Deranged. This is our first ever commentary. We hit record the moment the film started, and we did our damnedest to do our first commentary scene by scene for this film. It's up to you to decide whether you like it or not. If you do, we'll do more like this. If you don't, we'll do more like this. We will just spite you.
Because it was fun. So a little bit behind the curtains, a little bit how the sausage is made. Zach and I are actually recording this post recording the commentary track. And the reason we did that was because we were in the same location for the first time in like 2 years, I guess, at this point, because we were at Pasadena Comic-Con this past weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and we were like, you know what? Instead of just reviewing Deranged and doing like scene-by-scene breakdown, why don't we actually do a commentary track? We've never done one. We both have wanted to do one for a while now, and it just felt like the perfect fit. And so this intro is going to be a little different. We're not going to get into the cast and crew because we actually talk about that during the commentary track. So but we will do like a review at the beginning here, and we talk about our thoughts on the movie. But yeah, as Zach said, please let us know what you think about this format. Is it something that you like? Is it something that you don't like? I mean, we had fun doing it, so we're probably going to do it again. But, it would be nice to know what you all think about it. But Zach, Deranged, man, why did you pick it? This is your pick, by the way.
Yeah, this is my pick. It's my birthday pick because by the time this episode has come out, it's the month of June. So it's my birthday month. So I thought, let's go into the annals of horror history and pick something that's a little, lesser known in the horror genre. And I saw this movie way back when. I feel like I saw bits and pieces of it as a child, but as a child, I yearned for Deranged. And then I saw it, I believe I saw it in my early 20s for the first time, and it terrified me. We'll bring up that in this commentary track. You'll hear the moments that really shocked us, the moments that made us laugh, the moments that made us go, yowzers, because there are definitely quite a few of those in this film. I love it now as much as I loved it back then. Am I still creeped out by it? Yes. What's your familiarity with it, Corey?
Yeah, never heard of it until you brought it to the table. I think you'd mentioned it in the past and everything, but I'd never seen it before. And so it's first time watch for me when I did watch it, and I watched it with my wife, and we both freaking loved it. And I think a lot of that comes from Robert Blossom's facial acting is just amazing. And I could literally, I mean, the movie first off is like an hour and like 23 minutes. So it's perfect, but I could actually watch 2 more hours of it just of Robert's Blossom facial acting, because just the stuff that he does, the fact that he can go from like wide-eyed wonderment to like sinister, like all within like the same tick, it's so truly impressive.
Yeah. And slightly different with our intro than what we normally do as far as running down who, what, when, where, and why. That we get into that nitty-gritty actually in the commentary itself during the episode. So you'll hear who Robert's Blossom is, where you may or may not know him from, and the rest of the cast and crew while you're listening to the commentary. And yeah, he gives a amazing performance. Whether he liked this movie or not is a whole other story. Corey will fill you in on that in the commentary. But I'm glad you did. Look, I'm glad you and Myra both enjoyed it. And Vinegar Syndrome put out a really beautiful Blu-ray. I guess you could say that about a grotesque film. Put out a Blu-ray version of this that's fantastic. You don't have to watch said version of that. You can go to the link in our show notes to watch it from YouTube, which is what we did when we did the commentary. But it's, I think, the exact same version of the movie.
Yeah,
it might be like a few seconds different, but that's about it.
No, I think it's the same because it included the one little cut segment of like the brain scooping scene. So I think it is the exact same one as we have, which is basically the full version of the movie, the cut version and everything. But yeah, man, like it's like literally one of those movies where like Myra at work is like telling people about it. Like that's how much she's like into it. And you got to take into account that this movie came out the same year as Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And yeah, both of them, both this and that are like sort of loosely based on Ed Gein. I think this is a bit more accurate, although not 100% accurate. But it is interesting how they both came out the same year, and it goes back to like our our discussion about like Leviathan, Deep Star 6, just all the movies that come out at the same time somehow, like they're the same damn movie and they come out at the same damn time.
That's It is interesting because we talk about that in the commentary, but to think that these movies came out 51 years ago and stuff like that was happening way back then as well is something to think about. Like, did Tobe Hooper know that this was being made, that Alan Ormsby did this film? Were they having discussions? I don't know. It's a great topic to actually dig a little bit deeper into. But I will say too, like I said, Vinegar Syndrome put this out. Originally, Kino, I think, had put it out years ago, and then it was, pulled or discontinued. And you would only be able to find it on eBay for like $75 or something like that. And it's just great. Sticks it to the people again that are trying to get extra bucks out of something that they've already purchased. That Vinegar put this out with a pristine, print and box art, et cetera, et cetera. So hats off to Vinegar Syndrome. And if you enjoy this movie, highly recommend that you go pick it up from them. They still, I think, have the limited edition box that it comes in. Oh, and
what's the definition of vagina?
Oh, anyways.
Go listen to our Ford Fairlane review all the way in season 1 if you want to know what that joke is.
Yes, go listen to that and enjoy this episode. Once the trailer hits, we're going to jump right into it. So get your TVs, your phones, whatever ready. Look, you can listen to I wonder if you can listen to this on your phone and watch it on your phone at the same time. Yeah,
I don't. Do you have to
I
maybe?
don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have to? Because doesn't like YouTube like override or something like that? I don't know, but and hopefully you guys, even those of you that maybe aren't going to watch it at the same time that you listen to it, I still hope that that the commentary section is entertaining. I hope it's still fun. Obviously, we still treat it like a normal commentary track, so we're not really describing any scenes or anything. We are recording as if we assume that you've seen it. But I do think, we're entertaining enough and there's enough information in there that you might still have a good time. But again, it is supposed to be a commentary track, so you are supposed to watch the movie with it. And we kind of picked to do this one because there is a YouTube video that's been up for 10 years, so we're hoping that it'll be up for a little while longer because Zach and I were talking about like how, Kenny and Company, and we just released that episode for free. And when I went to go check the link for the actual movie, it was gone off of YouTube. So I was like, God damn it. But this one, the Deranged one, seems to have been up there for about 10 years now. Hopefully we don't bring enough attention to it that it gets taken down though.
Yeah, hopefully not. So don't tell anybody about this.
Keep it a secret.
but also tell everybody about it. Yeah. So go enjoy Deranged and go get crazy.
Several years ago, I covered firsthand the incredible story you are about to see recreated in this motion picture. It is a human horror story of ghastly proportions and profound reverberations. But because it is human, perhaps we can learn something from it. Something of ourselves, of our own fears and needs. But please, let me warn you, the events have been recreated in detail. Nothing has been left to the imagination. It is not a story for the squeamish or the faint-hearted. Now that you stand warned, we can proceed with our story. It is the story of Ezra Cobb, murderer, grave robber, necrophiliac perhaps, or as you may remember him from those stories of long ago, the Butcher of Woodside.
All right, guys, we are going to hit play on the YouTube video in 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm so excited. Our first commentary.
I know. I've been wanting to do one of these for a while, dude, honestly. I think this is going to be fun.
Me too.
So, what is this production company? Is that his?
American International. Yeah, AIP, I think, is the old school one. Yeah.
Okay. And this motion picture you're about to see is absolutely true. Only the names and locations have been changed. So this whole movie it's based on Ed Gein, but it's not 100% Ed Gein, I guess.
I think it's the closest depiction of Ed Gein, though, that we've seen on screen.
Up until, I think, a movie called Ed Gein came out, I think, in the 90s or something, or like early 2000s, and apparently that's probably the most accurate one. And I watched the commentary track on the movie, so they had Alan Ormsby on it. Was the commentary track. Right,
and he did the screenplay as well, which is a trip. You guys all know we covered Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, and this has that same sense of wicked humor. I mean, it's darker, way darker.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I love the narrator here. He's played by like Cronenberg alumni Leslie Carlson. So he kind of got big doing a lot of Cronenberg movies because this was filmed up in Ontario, which is honestly a great replacement for Wisconsin, where Ed Gein was where he lived. And by the way, Ed Gein didn't die until 1984, so this movie came out when Ed Gein was still alive, and they originally wanted to film up in Wisconsin, but no one wanted them to. I think at that point, they even wanted just to be done with Ed Gein and everything.
I was fascinated with Ed Gein, read his book and the book about him, documentaries, et cetera, et cetera. I know Aaron Gilmer, shout out to Aaron Gilmer, is fascinated with him too. But Robert's Blossom looks just like Ed Gein.
Yeah. Oh my God. And yeah, Robert's Blossom has got to be like in his like 30s or 40s here, and he looks like perpetually 50.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the actor here, the narrator, Leslie Carlson, passed away in 2024. We saw him in Videodrome. You see him in Dead Zone. He was actually the Christmas tree salesman in Christmas Story.
Yeah.
And I actually really love the narrator aspect in this movie, especially when he starts popping up in the film. And there's one scene later that we'll call out that I think is a really good use of Leslie Carlson.
Agreed. The way this is shot too, it's, clearly not like I guess you could compare it to Texas Chainsaw Massacre in like the pseudo documentary style cinema verite, but because you're like watching a glimpse of this man and his life. But you hit the nail on the head with it being shot up in, like, representing Wisconsin, being shot up in Canada. It looks like Wisconsin in the wintertime.
Yeah, I do not want to live there in the wintertime. No offense to our Wisconsinites. I've been to Wisconsin. That was there years ago, and that was the first time I'd ever seen a bald eagle in real life was in Wisconsin.
Did you know that Engelbert Humperdinck apparently lived up in Wisconsin because my grandma lived next door to him. But anyways, so I don't think I'll look at Pea Soup again after this scene that we're watching right now. So, Robert Blossom, Ezra Cobb, as he's called in the movie, his dying sick mother is in bed. And also hearing my dad tell a story about how his, I think, grandmother passed away in a similar situation where she basically, her body gave out.
Oh. That's my fear, dude. Like, and I don't know. It's a terrible thought, but I think my grandmother, same way. Like, they found her in a. Anyways, it's gruesome. I think it's a horrible premise idea for me. Just to all of a sudden your body's like release everything and you just die. But since we didn't cover all the actors and everything at the beginning like we normally do, we're gonna do it in the commentary. Robert's Blossom. Where do we know him from?
I mean, most people know him from Home Alone. He was the old man in Home Alone who creeps out Culkin, so it's pretty fitting, but he's totally different from what he's doing in this.
Yeah, and then we know him from the Carpenter Factor. He's the old man that sells them Christine. In Christine, he's the junk owner who sells them the car. But apparently he was like a thespian, like a poet, an artist, and according to Alan Ormsby, and a lot of my information is going to come from Alan Ormsby's commentary track. He hated this movie to his dying day. But the thing is, he's so fucking good in it, and like this is like the most screen time I've ever seen Robert's Blossom, and I can't look away from his face. I love this scene here because it's just a close-up of his face. It's like cuts back and forth between his mother and him, and all the acting and the pursed lips, all the face acting that Robert's Blossom does in this movie is amazing.
Yeah, and he's so talented, probably more prolific in his later years in life because he made this movie when he was 49.
Oh my, okay, so he's close to 50. So he does look close to 50.
Yeah. He actually does, unlike, someone like Ernest Borgnine or Paul Rudd, they always put that connection together. Paul Rudd's 50, doesn't look like Robert's Blossom as Ezra.
No.
But who's the mom in this scene?
Her name is Cassette Lee. She's a Canadian actor. She was in Change of Mind. She was in The First Time. So she's great in this scene right here. It's absolutely terrifying to me. Just watching her, impart these horrible wisdom upon her son, and basically scar him for life as she's dying, as she's terrified of dying, which is what I think is the scariest part of it.
Yeah, and your true colors come out, I think, when you're on your deathbed. So clearly she is a woman hater, and warns, Ezra of syphilis and all sorts of venereal diseases.
The wages of sin are syphilis, gonorrhea, and death. That's like that's like was actually going to be the subtitle of the movie, like on the movie poster.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So yeah, the movie's called Deranged because he's, well, we'll get to that later as far as his perspective on things,
Yeah.
because he, Ed Gein, clearly people, serial killers are broken. Like there's something, chemically wrong with them, right? So like he's got something going on, but the abuse also adds to that too. And you don't see him getting abused by his mother. It seems to be like a loving relationship,
Yeah.
even though clearly, he's been raised by her. I get the impression that Ezra has been like, he's never left the farm.
Yeah, and I think, that's sort of like implied, I think at the beginning is like, her husband, his dad died early. She had to raise him, and then he had to just basically take over watching over her. And I mean, obviously the mental, like, my God, like, can you imagine having to like take care of your mother throughout your most of your life, and then just having no life whatsoever? Your mind would just, in order to deal with that, you would literally just, like simpatico with her. But the fact that she dies here while he's trying to feed her and bring her back to life, blood starts spraying out of her nose. And I love how he like frantically tries to put the blood back inside of her with the spoon.
Well, you ever try to force feed somebody?
No. When would I ever have an option, like the opportunity to do that?
I never did that with both.
Oh my God.
Son. And so, pea soup mixed with blood, not a good combination. Anyways, for all you pea soup fans out there, this reminds me of what happened when my brother was eating onion soup or mushroom soup when we were watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers and threw up all over the place.
Oh my God, that's horrible. That's horrible.
However, yeah, this actually apparently is pretty accurate. Like people just, your insides give out and then you're dead.
Wow. And the blood starts shooting out of your nose as you're trying to force feed the blood back into your body. So Zach, who was the lead supervisor, special effects supervisor on this movie?
Well, some guy named Tom Savini.
Yeah, some little no name special effects guy named Tom Savini.
And by the way, there's a clip of Tom Savini online where he's like on a kids show on Nickelodeon. If you haven't seen it, go seek it out. It's so cool to watch. But yeah, clearly Tommy S, one of his earlier movies he's done, and this is pure like 70s coagulated red, fake looking blood.
Yeah,
but it's still accurate looking. Actually, now and we're segueing into the what do you call it?
The casket scene, funeral scene.
There's a cross. The cross in the background looks very like pagan to me. And almost like something you'd see. It reminds me of the Blue Oyster Cult logo.
Right. Yes. I'm with you. This scene's interesting. A lot of this movie is like just master shots, with maybe a couple cuts in it. And the first time I watched it, and this is the scene that sort of put it into my head, this movie feels like a stage play. And at some point in the commentary with Alan Ormsby, he mentions the same thing. He felt the movie came off as like a stage play as well. But apparently Bob Clark produced this, but he took his name off of it. He didn't want his name on the movie. And he also edited the film, but there's no editor credited for it because, again, Bob Clark took his name off of it. Alan Ormsby kind of speculated that at the time, Bob Clark was toying with the idea of getting into politics. So obviously he's like, I'll do this movie, but I don't want my name on it because I don't want it to come up later, and who knows if that's actually correct, because obviously, Bob Clark has passed away now. He passed away on the PCH, wasn't it? Him and his son died in a drunk driving accident.
Yeah, horrible. And can you imagine, like, nowadays, what if, obviously Mr. Rogers is always Mr. Rogers. So if he ever did anything that was kind of blue, or off kilter from who he was, he probably would be like ostracized for it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, not a big deal. John Cena does, safe words in a Amy Schumer movie, and then does Make-A-Wish Foundation kid stuff.
And he does Peacemaker.
Yeah, exactly. So he's, Ezra's with this couple
The next door neighbor,
Yeah.
friends of the family type of thing.
who you'll see throughout this movie. But
Yeah.
isn't the guy like a drunk or something from Billy Madison? Is that who you?
Oh no, that's
coming up later,
That's going
right?
to be a different guy. Yeah.
Oh, that's right,
There's a
that's
Billy
right.
Madison connection. But here's where the first time we're at the gravesite where Ezra's going to go dig up his mother. But here's the first time that you sort of see the audio commentary guy, like the news guy, actually in the scene and everything. And it's something that I think is very interesting. But then they kind of drop it halfway through the movie, unfortunately.
Yeah, the narration continues on, but he's no longer in the picture like halfway through, which is a bummer. But
that's like my favorite parts is when he's in the picture, you know?
me too. And this scene where right now Ezra's being swung in the swing by their neighbor's kid, it's so creepy to know, like, oh, he's harmless. He's this cute little guy. No, he's not. You know, this is not, you know, people would refer to him back in the days like a simpleton.
Yeah.
But like clearly hiding demons inside, and like you see Ezra's face at the end of this, and he looks like he's pained inside, which is so great. The acting by Robert Blossom is so good in this.
I mean, again, I've never seen like a whole movie, you know, with Robert Blossom as a lead, and I'm just like, why didn't he do more stuff? Like, he's so good. I hated his toenail right here. I think it's grotesque.
But it's authentic.
It's so authentic. It's so authentic.
And this would have made a great play. I'm surprised
so.
it actually hasn't been brought back in that form to a small, you know, little theater run.
Right, because like if you try to like remake Deranged now, so many movies have already done it. You know, like this was a big deal at the time because, you know, it came out in, 1974?
February of 74.
In the same year of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Which came out in October.
So it's like, at this point, I mean, we've seen so many Rob Zombie movies that sort of ape this feel that if you try to like sort of remake this now, people are gonna be like, oh, it's just a Rob Zombie movie.
Well, that's my point. Like, this doesn't need to be remade as a movie, but I think as a play, wouldn't it be amazing if a kid was like, I'm going to do a one act from Deranged.
Actually, with Robert's Blossom.
In high school, I did a one act. I did the scene from Goodfellas, the whole clown scene.
Wow.
Yeah, I obviously edited out the swears, but I got an A for it. So.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so this scene that is great because as they're going around the room, you see like the Stag magazine. So clearly he's into smut, but he's keeping it concealed. You know, he's got his addictions that he's probably into, but he was having to keep them under wraps.
Yeah. And now he's actually going to the actual gravesite to dig up his mother and everything. But yeah, it's I mean, the movie, it shows you everything you need to know, but it doesn't like come out and like say what his mental illness is or like kind of like say like what these problems are. You sort of have to like watch it and bring it into you and infer, but like Robert's Blossom does everything that you need to see. Now, I love this because I love the fact that when we first see his mother getting dug up, it's the actress, like, and then it's going to click back and then we're going to see what she actually really looks like. But her eyes open, she starts smiling, and now we're basically seeing through the eyes of Ezra, which will come into play in the third act. Like, you know, there's something about that we're going to talk about. But I love this. I absolutely love this, especially like the fact that it cuts back to... So did you notice that was a single shot right there where he put his hand into an actual actor's hand?
Yeah.
Camera didn't cut, but then they replaced it with the fake corpse hand and everything. The corpses in this movie look so good.
Well, I'll go back again to Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which actually came out, you know, relatively around the same time. It's so terrifying. They're so good at like a simple just image freaking you out. That moment freaked me out.
Yeah.
Especially when the mom smiles and she opens her eyes. That terrified me as a kid.
That's almost scarier than seeing her corpse. Because, you know, like I feel like because we're becoming tainted by his madness. So we're seeing what he's seen, you know? And then you have this scene here where he's going to be pulled over by the local sheriff and his mom's rotting corpses in the front seat of the car. And the scene has like kind of like this dark humor to it. And I actually found this movie to be fairly, it's not amusing in like ha-ha sort of a way, but it's not a dark comedy, but it's a horror movie with a lot of comedic elements in it, and that's on purpose. I mean, again, Alan Ormsby says like this was designed to be that way, and even critics originally had a problem with the narrator being in the scenes. They said it was kind of goofy and funny, and Alan Ormsby was like, well, yeah, that's literally the point. Thank you for getting it, but that's not something to be criticized because that's what we wanted.
Yeah, it allows you. I think if there was no humor in this, it wouldn't have the same impact because it would be too intense. By the way, I got to point out, this movie came out in 1974. Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things came out in 1972. And Death Dream, a.k.a. Dead of Night, came out in 1974 as well. All Alan Ormsby films. And what a run in that limited amount of time.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. And so apparently I think he had a bit of a falling out with Bob Clark after this movie.
Bummer.
And, he kind of... It was, from his rationale, from Alan Ormsby's point of view, it was because him and his co-director, Jeff Gillen, is it Gillen?
I think it's Gillen.
Gillen, yeah. Him and his co-director, Jeff Gillen, had to work for scale, and then Bob Clark didn't. Because he produced the movie, so he got to kind of keep all of his money.
Interesting.
And then they apparently Bob Clark kind of cut Alan Ormsby and Jeff Gillen out of the editing process. So they didn't really get a say in how the movie was edited. Now, that being said, he says the movie was pretty much shot for shot how the script was, and edited pretty much shot for shot. So, I mean, it is like a good representation of the original script and idea.
Okay, well, look, it's edited very well. In fact, I might say flawlessly, considering the movie. And the fact, the makeup effects, he looks like he's holding an actual real person. I would not be surprised. Again.
No, so that is a fake body.
That's a body.
But, I mean... Dude, it's Tom Savini. I don't think he did the corpses, but he oversaw all the special effects and stuff like that. And I mean, it is so good. Like the arms and legs move. Like that is a full armature that they had to build a corpse around.
Yeah, this is. Again, I'll go back to what you said earlier about the humor being in the movie. If you take the humor out, it's really gross and just creepy AF. Like. I think you got to keep that humor in forever, give everybody a sense to breathe.
Yeah.
So it would be just too overwhelming.
And I think without the humor in this movie, it wouldn't have survived. Like it would have just faded away and just been another creepy film, with, whatever it would have been fine. But like the humor, like everything Robert Blossom is doing, because it's also it's a movie where we're following the antagonist. And those are always hard to do because we have to now relate to the bad guy. We have to relate to the antagonist. So he has to be somewhat likable for us to be into it. And here's I love how the narrator kind of gets closer and closer to Ezra in these scenes. And this is the first time the narrator's in the hallway while Ezra's in with his mom. This is the first time you see the narrator and Ezra in the same scene, but they're still separated by a wall, and he'll get closer and closer. And I love that. I freaking love that. I wish they didn't drop it halfway through. Real quick, the co-director, Jeff Gillen, we saw him in Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. He was Jeff. He played Jeff in that.
Oh, cool.
Dead of Night is also, what is it?
Death Dream.
Death Dream, that's right. Their second movie, essentially. But everyone probably knows Jeff Gillen as the Santa Claus in A Christmas Story.
Ho, ho, ho. By the way, you brought up the perspective of it being from Ezra's perspective through the whole thing, and hard to do for a film. I think of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer as being the only other movie, or Maniac as well, where that's the focus. Actually, that would be a terrifying triple feature: Deranged, Maniac, and Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. Oof. In order.
Oof. I'd say end with this one because it has a bit more humor.
You should end with this one, but if you go that way, you're going to have to take some happy pills when you're done.
My God. Now, all these actors, most of the actors in the movie are, Canadian actors. They held auditions in New York, and that's where they found Robert Blossom. But Christopher Walken auditioned for Ezra, and they were like, he's too, because in 1974 he was pretty young, and they were like, he's too angelic, he's too weirdly beautiful, we can't have Christopher Walken. I mean, he wasn't the Christopher Walken that we know at that time.
Well, look at Dead Zone that he did 10 years later.
Yeah.
he looks angelic in that.
Yeah. I mean, I love Christopher Walken. I love early Christopher Walken stuff, but I cannot picture him as Ezra Cobb.
No, Ezra is supposed to look like Ed Gein.
Yeah.
And clearly he does. Sorry, Robert Blossom, that you look like a
Big
serial
rips.
killer. But yeah, and shout out to our Canadian brethren because, if you've ever been to the Midwest, upper Midwest, it looks just like this. And, this scene is great because it just shows how naive Ezra is, like, to the world. He's clearly been sheltered. You think of like a movie of like Powder, where he's been kept in a cell or a basement all his life. Like, same idea. He's just been sheltered from the world, and now he's being awoken to it. But it's too late. Like, you can't save this guy. He's already fractured.
Yeah,
So.
There's no putting the pieces back together. And this is interesting, too, because it starts this idea that, like, Ezra doesn't get any ideas of his own. Like, right now, he's learning about obituaries in the paper. And, so this family that's next door, it's Harlan and Jenny Coots, and they have two kids. And, it's kind of sad because they trust him completely because the dad, Harlan, grew up with Ezra.
Right.
So he he kind of like loves the guy like a brother, but there is a bit of a distance, obviously. But the guy who plays Harlan Coots, he was the doctor in Black Christmas, Bob Clark's Black Christmas, and there's going to be another person who's connected to Black Christmas.
Grossest scene coming up right now.
So this scene, the scene where... Well, real quick, I want to go back to the obituary. So basically, in the previous scene, Ezra learns about obituaries, and he's like, oh, so I can just find dead bodies? And, everyone's like, yeah, I guess if that's how you want to look at it. But, like, he's not even smart enough, quote unquote, smart enough to like hide his intentions. Ezra's just like, okay, so if I want spare parts, and they're like, oh, Ezra, you're so silly, and then cut to him basically cutting a head off of a dead body.
Oh, God.
Taking the brains out. And this was basically, they said that this was a fake plastic skull that they obviously put putty and made a face around it. Those are brains that they got from the market. So those are probably cow's brains.
Yeah.
This scene was cut from the movie. Not this whole scene, but this section where he's scooping out the brains. And I gotta say, Zach, because I know we're watching this on YouTube and you have not watched your Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, this 10-year-old YouTube video, this quality is better for this scene that's been put back in. It's better than the Blu-ray. Like, when you watch it, you can tell that it's not processed. And it's the only shot that's not really processed.
And it's free.
And then when he puts the face on his own face, that's when the theatrical cut comes back in. Like, that's the only part that's really cut from it. But I remember telling you that, and I was like, bro, you can tell the scene that's cut. And you're like, oh, I couldn't really notice. And I was like, oh, Zach's got to check his eyeballs. Now I'm watching it on YouTube, and after you told me you watched it on YouTube, they process it better.
Yeah. And
come on, Vinegar Syndrome.
Come on, Vinegar, get on that. And also, shout out to whoever posted this because it looks great, even though there's Spanish subtitles, but you can get over that.
Yeah.
So two things really quick. One, the whole parts, I'm thinking of the hitchhiker from Texas Chainsaw Massacre from same year, and very much influenced by this, or maybe who knows if there was a connection there, like.
Oh, hold on, sorry. Yeah. So this scene right here, this is sort of the final scene where the narrator's sort of like in the shot. Ezra's talking to his dead mom behind him, but I love the fact that Ezra looks at the narrator right here. It's so cool. It's so awesome, and it kind of fades away from this point moving forward. But the fact that Roberts Blossom looks at him, I love that so much.
And that's the last time I think you'll see them together.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. I also want to point out that, Ezra holds up that skin mask, and here we are a few months later. You'll see it in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, same deal.
Yep.
So clearly those two would make a great back-to-back viewing as well.
Well, especially since Texas Chainsaw has so much dark humor in it as well.
It does. The Hitchhiker, I think, was more Ed Gein inspired
than Leatherface.
Yeah, and obviously all these things go back to Ed Gein. You can look him up. There's Psycho was also influenced by Ed Gein too, I think. And But yeah, that scene where the narrator is sitting there and he looks at him, you also see the pain look on Ezra's face, like, should I be doing this?
Yeah, and it's not like it's like sort of a wink and a nod, like funny. It's like it's almost as if the narrator is in his head and he's looking at it. Like he's still Ezra Cobb when he looks at the narrator. That's what's great about it.
Right.
And so this scene, they want him to get, a woman to take care of him, essentially. And, Ezra's been told by his mother that, all women are evil. And, but fat women are okay because I guess essentially they don't want anything or they're not going to steal anything from you. So, if they're fat, they're fine.
I'm just going to let that lie for a moment.
That's not my writing. It's not my ideas either.
And his idea of taking protection when he goes on a date is a little bit different than what I think would be considered in 2025.
Yeah, I think so. But Zach, were you ever fascinated with serial killers growing up? Because I had a few friends that were.
I like I said, I had the book and a documentary on Ed Gein. I think I did a whole thing on like serial killer movies. Manhunter is one of my all-time favorite films, and that's a serial killer, and I think Manhunter was the movie that actually got me interested in knowing more about that stuff. And then obviously Silence of the Lambs came out and wanted to know more about that. But I love this like interaction of that's where the humor comes into play, like where they're talking about the fat woman and they're all laughing about Maureen Selby and he's going to bring protection. They have a whole different
what protection
feel
is.
about that. And the fact that he's wearing a straw hat when he comes out of this elevator.
And it's got to be like his dad's like from the 20s or something, you know? And he's like just meeting this lady and he's wearing, a straw hat, but it's like he's also got a pinstripe suit on.
And this guy, so I lived in a building that looked similar to this, not with an elevator, but with stairs. And my next door neighbor was a drug addict who used it as a halfway house.
Was this in LA?
No, here in Santa Monica.
Oh, okay.
And just to know that you never know what's going on next door to you.
Yeah.
I guess when he died or moved out or whatever, his walls were black from all the smoke.
Wow.
And cooking he was doing in there.
Wow.
And so now we're introduced to Maureen Selby, who the mom refers to in the beginning of the movie. And she is very familiar, I think, to Bob Clark fans.
Yes.
Why, Corey?
She's played by Marian Waldman. So she was Mrs. Mack in Black Christmas, the den mother of the sorority house.
She's great, by the way.
Oh my God, she's one of the best parts of this entire movie. I mean, she's great in Black Christmas, but this is like next level awesome.
And I think if my wife was watching this, the fact that she wants to do a seance is not out of like left field.
Yeah, I know.
My wife would probably be like, oh yeah, no, that's cool.
And I love so this lady, her husband passed away, so she's a widow, and she's like sexually repressed, like she needs the D basically, and and I love the fact that we see a picture of her deceased husband, and it's Alan Ormsby smiling, and he has a bald wig on that Tom Savini basically did for him, but I love how goofy it is, and again that's where the humor comes from, and even more so with sort of the culmination of what happens to this character, to Mrs. Selby, than the fact that like it ends with a picture of her smiling husband, as feathers are falling down.
Yes.
But like Alan Ormsby said that Tom Savini, after putting the bald wig on him, said to him, he goes, Alan, don't ever go bald, because he looks terrible.
Amazing. By the way, chocolate samplers, can we talk about this? That's a staple of the Midwest.
Oh my God.
What was your least favorite chocolate sampler?
I don't like the coconut.
Oh, I love that.
I liked caramel. I'm always a caramel guy.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't like anything that had a nut in it.
No, yeah. Like was it Mounds have the caramel or not the coconut and the nut, right?
Yeah, but like the sampler sometimes would have that like almondy nougat.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever like putting a nut in your mouth?
Only if it's yours.
Anyways,
we
would get those at the the what do you call it? The drugstore.
The 5 and dime.
Yes. So Maureen Selby, she's so good in this, and you can tell like Ezra's never been around a woman before.
He doesn't know how to like react to her. And the funny thing is with this scene is she almost comes off crazier than him.
Well, I think that's and I think the whole idea of a seance, Alan Ormsby with his face, he looks like a cartoon character. It's amazing.
Does. It's amazing. It's fantastic. Like this when she showed the picture, when the movie shows us the picture of him, that solidified. I was like, oh, this is a dark comedy. Like, it's as much of a comedy as Texas Chainsaw Massacre is. And one of my favorite scenes in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when he's killed like the third kid, Leatherface, and he's like looking around, he's like, Leatherface, like, where are these people coming from? And I think that's so funny, and in these micro humorous moments in such a horrible situation, I do think you're right. You said it earlier, like, it gives you this sense of relief.
Yeah.
And with that relief, you can kind of go back into paying attention to what's happening in the movie and kind of like acclimate yourself to it. You know?
Agreed. Yeah, it gives you a breath.
But he's so uncomfortable. Ezra is so uncomfortable talking to her. Like, he's like, I need to be with her because that's what society is telling me to do. And by society, I mean my next door neighbors.
And I think we've all been in a situation where we've society's told us to be with somebody, but we don't want to be with them.
Yeah, I got married the first time. Yeah, exactly. The scene is wild when he dips his chicken, his fried chicken into the peanut butter.
Oh, have you ever done that?
Dude, no, but there's this wing place up in Oregon where I live. It's called Hot Mama's. And one of the ones that's actually one of their best ones is like this peanut butter glaze wing. And it's my brother-in-law's favorite. So like when he did this, I was like, oh yeah, I bet that's amazing. I bet it's fantastic. Have you ever done that?
No, but I'm also fascinated with the fact that he's now fantasizing what it would be like to have sex with her and being stuck in all that fat, as he says.
Yeah, I know.
And so I think of the peanut butter, and I think of being stuck.
Is that what they call the peanut butter solution?
I guess so. It looks like Bucky Beaver peanut butter, by the way.
Is that a real thing?
Bucky's, I think it's a real place, like a chain.
Oh.
But I kind of want to try that peanut butter.
I kind of want to try dipping my my fried chicken into a peanut butter.
I would too, yeah.
But, dude, I love how his face, he goes through so many emotions. Like Robert's Blossom goes through so many emotions on his face. He'll be happy, and then immediately he'll go to like just his eyes get big, and he goes to like deranged. And I love Maureen's wig here too.
Yeah, I mean, I think people should wear wigs more often to just change up the mood.
We saw a movie last night that was all about wigs.
Yeah, coming soon, possibly our Christmas pick, y'all. And by the way, if you go to our Patreon, patreon.com/podcastingafterdark, you can help support the show and pick a movie like Deranged to be broken down by us at a highest tier. By the way, so Maureen Selby's lipstick is gnarly looking.
Look how Ezra Cobb's watching her like basically become orgasmic in this seance, and I just love how freaked out he is by her. Like, he's the killer in this movie, and yet he is legitimately scared of her.
Yes.
And I love that. And he's just like, what is happening? I love it too when she tells him to close his eyes and she kind of rubs his eyelids down. And the moment that her fingers go away from it, his eyelids pop back open,
Yeah, and, he looks great expression-wise.
Yeah.
I don't think Ed Gein looked like he never smiled in his entire life.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, if he didn't emote the way he did, again, I don't think this would be the same kind of movie. Yeah,
she's feeling his face because he's like, what is happening? But to him, this is probably like, this is what courtship is like. This is like what courtship is like for everyone. So he's like so perplexed and horrified by it.
Ever had someone stroke your face like that?
Because they are channeling the soul of their dead husband.
Yes.
And their dead husband wants to see what you look like.
Ever happened to you?
Yeah, of course. It happens to me all the time.
She's got a print on her wall, too, which I'm kind of fascinated by, because it looks like, I don't know if it's, you know what they are? They're astrological signs, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of dark.
I see a Gemini, 2 twins, and I see a lion on there as well. So she's clearly into the spiritual, mystical thing that would go over really well here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Not so much in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Where you dip your chicken in peanut butter.
Well, she does mention earlier that, like, people make fun of her and everything. Because Ezra says, he talks to his dead mom, and she's like, are you making fun of me? And you think that he said something wrong, but then you find out that she's like, I talked to my dead husband. So like that was like she viewed that as a connection, whereas she should have viewed that as a red flag.
Yes, and I know she's like staring off, talking to her dead husband right now, but the fact that she like can't make eye contact really kind of disturbs me too, and his whole face this entire scene is amazing.
Yeah, and like I'd say like 75% of this scene is a master shot of the two of them profile from the side. They intercut some close-ups and stuff. But again, guys, I can't look away. I love everything he's doing with his face.
And I'm curious as we move forward in this movie, she's looking directly at the camera right now.
Yes.
And he is not.
Right.
So it makes me I think
was that a choice?
I think that's intentional because I think that happens later on in the movie where the character's looking directly at Ezra. I think we are supposed to be Ezra.
We're supposed to be him. Yeah, you're right, because he's not looking at the camera here, but she's looking at the camera, so it's his POV. Yeah, that's obviously intentional.
And this is going to be our first big kill of the movie. Spoiler, coming up.
And it's funny. I mean, it doesn't have a high body count. This movie is not a lot of kills in it.
Doesn't need it though.
It doesn't need it. And honestly, I don't rewatch this movie for the kills. I literally rewatch it for Robert's Blossom. And at this point, watching it now is like my fourth time watching it within like a week and a half.
It's not for Maureen Selby undoing her
bosoms, her heaving bosoms.
That's not why you rewatched this film?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a tad.
Knowing you, and what she likes to do in the scene.
I love how he gets excited for this. He's excited about it.
I mean, it's a.
Well, and also too, it's interesting because in the previous scene where he's talking to his dead mom about her eating the peanut butter, and we were too much into the peanut butter, he does talk about how he is attracted to her. He actually likes her plumpness. He thinks her belly is cute.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Then he gets nervous thinking about getting stuck in everything.
Yeah, so it's like you can see where he goes down these like spirals,
and they're starting to get it on, and oh boy, the wig comes off, and that's what changes. Suddenly his mood, I think, well, the perspective of the camera shakes too.
It starts to get like sort of handheld and everything, and I think you're right. I think maybe the wig coming off was sort of like for him, like it kind of started breaking a spell, and then I think she just moves too fast. He's not ready. He's a virgin. He's like a 50-year-old virgin. He's not ready for this.
I mean,
it can't be the first date.
Pulling him into the room too, and that, yeah, it's disturbing.
Like almost like dragging him in there.
Yes.
Do you remember those bead door, curtain door things?
Oh, yeah, I do. This looks like a house that I might have visited. Even though it's an apartment, it looks like a house I might have visited in Wisconsin.
So they're on the bed. I feel bad. She's like, I'm getting that D, baby. She's getting that D. She's going to get that D in hell. Bless you. I'm not going to be able to cut that.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. I think this is our first time doing an audio commentary.
To know that he's getting aroused and he's looking at his dead mother, that's going to be a BK, as in boner killer.
Yeah. So, yeah, he starts getting images of his mom as he's on top of Maureen Selby. He does that lower pursed lip thing, you know what I mean? And she starts taking off his pants, and I guess the joke is, I don't think it's shot very well, but I think the joke is like, she thinks that gun is his dick, and then he pulls it out.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. By the way, I wonder if the song "Thrill Is Gone" is in his head.
Yeah, probably. Because, yeah, she's like, well, what is that? So, and like she starts screaming, like but it's interesting, he puts the pillow over her head, and I'm guessing to kind of, oh, this is great. See, that's why it's a comedy.
Yeah.
Her husband watching, smiling as 2 rounds get put into her head and feathers fall down.
Because he knows they'll be together again.
Yeah, but like, why does he put the pillow on her face? Because he doesn't want. Because this is his first kill.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't want to see it, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. Is it because also he doesn't want to make a sound?
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I don't think he's smart enough to do that.
Right. Oh, so I was wrong. The narrator is there one more
in the bar.
I think this is
the last one. Yeah.
Yeah. because at this point the mood is going to shift.
And I love how he talks about this this woman, this waitress here, and how she's like the prettiest woman he's ever seen. But then he says something like, "But she's kind of over the hill," and she's like 30 or something like that. The dialogue is fantastic. It's so funny.
Yeah, everything that happens in this scene and right after is really entertaining. I mean, the whole thing is like, she looks like a typical waitress you'd find in that diner.
Because it's 74, so it kind of still has a little bit of those 60s aesthetic to it, because she has that, like, that sort of that bouffant hair a bit, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, it is probably one that she was obviously in her 20s in the 60s, so she was still, you know, rocking and rolling. She was probably like, what are the go-go boppers or whatever, you know?
Totally. So she makes him order like a whiskey sour, right?
Which I kind of want now.
I don't think I've ever had that.
Sounds good.
What about a Shirley Temple?
I love Shirley Temples.
My mom used to take me to the bar all the time when I was a
get
kid.
a Shirley Temple.
Yeah, she'd hang out with her friend and I would drink a Shirley Temple. And now thinking back, I was 6 going to a bar.
Probably not allowed to. You could not be in there today.
Probably not. And when's the last time you paid 75 cents for a drink?
For a drink. And he gives her a 5. And the rest is for her. So that's a hell of a tip right there.
Yeah, no tax on that tip.
No. So she's happy about that. And so there's this older drunk guy behind her. It almost looks like they give that guy kind of old makeup, you know? Because he's probably, funny thing is, he's probably younger than Robert's Blossom. But I love how he immediately turns around and he's like, let me tell you something. I'd tear off a piece of that ass for sure.
I love this. I bang her brains out.
Bang her brain. And Alan Ormsby said he wrote that dialogue because it was supposed to be him saying those things it's a violent thing. Like, I tear a piece off of that ass. I'd bang her brains out. He's like, it's such violent wordage, but he's the one saying it, not Ezra, you know?
Yeah, but now he's putting but like you said, Ezra's like so green to the world. He's getting the thoughts put in his head.
Yeah, everyone is there to facilitate Ezra's thoughts.
So the obituary is what causes him to know about where to get the body. This is causing him to be like more violent towards women, maybe. Interesting.
And the drunk is played by Jack Mather, who, you know, he's done a bunch of stuff, whatever, a lot of TV shows and stuff like that. But my God, he's in Billy Madison. He's the old man that they put poop on his front stoop, and he's like, "It's poop, Harold! Don't tell me my business, devil woman."
That's amazing.
One of my favorite scenes in any movie ever. He called the shit poop.
So speaking of drunkards, now Ezra is so lit off his ass, and he has a shift. Do you think he's doing this? Is this part of a gag, or is he legit drunk?
Because is him waiting for her? It's all the same night, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. When I originally watched it for the first time, I was a bit stoned. I thought it was a different night because he goes from being super drunk to not being super drunk. I want to say that it's an act, but he has those other drinks there. We do see that, and I don't think he's smart enough to act drunk. I think it's just a wonky bit of continuity.
Yeah, I think you're right, because this tonal shift here, this is like, to me, the scariest moment of the movie coming up in the next 5-10 minutes. He seems stone cold sober at that point.
Yeah. And I think when I first watched it, I took it as there was a time jump, and it was only because he went from being pissed drunk to sober.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a continuity issue.
And dude, for a low budget film, I mean, there's really not any problems with the film itself, like continuity wise. This is literally the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
Which is impressive.
And also, guys, if someone asks you to kiss them, don't do it.
No, if you're a young lady and an old drunk man says, kiss me, don't do it.
Yeah, because he's clearly, I mean, this could be the next night. It could be.
It's possible, but the way, if you watch it like we're watching it now with no sound, it plays like it's the same night is what it plays like. And then now 2 of the times that I've watched it have been kind of with no movie sound, because when I watched it with the director commentary or with Alan Ormsby commentary, I didn't have any sound on at the time either. So I've kind of like forgotten what happens. But to me, it makes sense if it's a different night.
You know what? I'm realizing now it possibly is because he's wearing a different jacket.
Oh, okay.
Or different
and honestly, that makes more sense. So he kind of like, stalked her for a little bit.
It totally makes sense. Okay, yeah. So he's stalking her. He slashes her tires. That's horrible. And the fact that the fact that he's like now gonna go after her to get her, it makes it even worse because the idea like she is totally being taken advantage of, but the fact that like he's already won her over.
Yeah, and she kind of trusts him, although she kind of trusts him at arm's length, But yeah, I'm with you. It's scary because unlike with Maureen, you can tell it wasn't premeditated. He killed her in the moment. This is premeditated, and that's what's scary about it.
Oh, and by the way, she has an Ontario plate.
Yep, that was the first time I realized where the movie, was filmed or it's supposed to take place up there because it's still a sort of fictionalized, But yeah, it's Ontario, which I think isn't that where where they filmed The Void?
I think so. Yeah. The fact that he now everything from this moment on is intentional.
Yeah.
Because he picked out a better woman than Maureen.
Yeah,
according to him.
Yeah. And well, is it intentional for him to kill her, or did he really think that he was basically just going to bring her home and just have him as his wife?
Yeah, I don't think the intention was to kill her.
Okay, but I mean, it's still a sinister intent.
Right.
Because he's still aware that he can't, like, sort of quote-unquote get her as a normal guy. Like, he has to kidnap her, essentially.
Yeah, and, I've seen this movie many times, and I've never really kind of nitpicked it the way we are doing right now. It makes sense. Like, he never had intended to really kill anybody up until this point. Maureen was out of, like you said, shock. He was freaked out by her. This one is he wanted to keep her as his bride. So he never really wanted to kill anybody. He didn't really want to hurt anybody. You didn't do anything, did you?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's called Confessions of a Necrophile, so even Ed Gein, I don't think Ed Gein killed anybody. I think he just dug up the corpses, right? No, I think he tried to or something.
He killed some people, yeah. Okay. It's been decades since I've read that book or looked into it, so my memory's foggy on Ed Gein. Okay. But yeah, he did kill people. This outcome was very similar to the outcome with Ed Gein as far as what they did to his farm afterwards.
So this young lady, the waitress, her real name, Micki Moore, we saw her in The Believers as she was just one of the I think she's one of the people, in the end, the cult members or whatever.
Interesting.
But she was in that movie, The Vindicator. I remember that VHS cover, hardcore. Like, wow. Do you remember that movie?
I do. I know the cover art. If you guys look that movie up right now, you'll be like, oh, I remember seeing that on the shelves. And Short Circuit 2.
She played the art lover. Yes. But apparently they hired her, and she signed a contract that she would be nude in this scene in a few minutes, and she refused to do it. And they were like, Alan Ormsby said they were like obviously like miffed and everything, but then they're like, who cares? Like, it was like to them, it was like, whatever, who cares? And I don't think it takes anything away from the scene later. I don't think she needs to be nude in it.
I'm glad she isn't. I think it might, I don't know, it's more, would have felt more exploitative. But knowing that we just covered The Howling not that long ago, and you can go back in our archives and listen to that, being forced to be nude in movies, maybe no bueno.
Yeah, I know. I'm that's fine. Dude, I just real quick scrolled through her Micki Moore's filmography. She was in an episode of the War of the Worlds TV show.
What?
Nice. I guess they probably filmed that up in Ontario too. Yeah. I think. Didn't Richard say that they filmed in Canada?
Yeah. When did she pass away?
Micki Moore is still alive.
Oh, well, if you know my track record.
you killed her. She's gone. And this movie does not have a large cast either.
No, it's got a low budget, clearly, but it looks so good.
Yeah.
And This scene's terrifying.
Oh my
Like,
God, this is an awesome scene.
My vibe with this whole thing is so creeped out because being in the middle of nowhere, the fact that the lights don't go on in his house.
Right.
So
Does he not have electricity, I guess?
I think maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe
Because he's got a wood, everything has a wood stove, and she has to light,
so he's got no
candles
power.
or whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, and this POV shot is so creepy right now. Like, this is the stuff, this is nightmare inducing for me, especially as a kid, because I believe I saw this movie when I was a kid, or at least pieces of it. And it's so, like, this is the stuff that you just wake up in the middle of the night having nightmares about. The fact that there's a meat cleaver on the wall and you're like, what? Like, my mind goes to all the things I see in this scene. Like, what's he going to do? What's he doing with the meat cleaver?
Right. Yeah.
She's lighting candles, or she's lighting a lamp, I think, at one point. This whole sequence is terrifying to me, to the point where I have had nightmares about this scene, which is, in a way, like, now at 48 years old, I kind of love.
Yeah.
But not a little Zach. Little Zach terrified of this.
Well, we talk about the fact that, the chicken, like, he didn't even throw away his fried chicken that he's eating. Like, he lives so slovenly and everything.
Watching an episode of Hoarders now, you know that people live like this, and it's just disgusting.
There's cockroaches everywhere, I'm sure.
Like, we had mites in our house because of our an issue outside of the house, just knowing that there's probably bugs everywhere, dirt, filth,
muck,
smut mags everywhere. So he's doing all sorts of weird things because he's just home alone.
Oh my God, just Spider-Manning everywhere.
Wow, my God, like that. Guys, if you're listening to this and you're not watching, go watch this on our follow the link that we have in our show notes, because this sequence you're about to see right now is a quintessential horror, and I feel like this has maybe been, it's so interesting. This obviously came out months before Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But it feels so much like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, they're perfect companion pieces. Did one bite off the other?
I don't think so. Like, unless they did it in sort of pre-production, but I don't think it was like that back in the day, especially since Alan Ormsby and Bob Clark, they were kind of like East Coast. I mean, they came from University of Miami. So, like, I feel like this was just some kind of weird coincidence that Texas Chainsaw Massacre comes out at the same time. Tobe Hooper's literally in Texas. These guys are in Ontario. I don't think there's a connection. I don't think that they had any clue. I think the world's just, it's kind of like how, like, the telephone was sort of invented by two different people at the same time in different parts of the world. It's just information just happened. This is the best scene in the movie right here, I think.
Yes.
Where she turns around and sees all the dead bodies, sat up and everything.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
This scene terrifies me so much. And it's very simple. And if you think about it, it's really not that scary, because he's harmless. He's an actor doing the scene, but I still can't get it out of me. I believe that with the wig on his head.
Oh my God.
Bill, in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh my God. Bill Moseley looks just like him. Yeah. Rob Zombie.
He totally was influenced by this.
He had to have been influenced by this for real.
The fact that he's playing this, like, organ thing right now and making this drowning noise, and he's wearing the flesh of somebody. Oh, it's so creepy. The way they shot this, her face is a little distracting at times.
Yeah, because she kind of, like, I know what you mean. Especially since they do multiple cuts of, like, close-ups on her face, so it's almost like it's kind of jarring,
Yeah. But when he runs down the hallway after here,
oh my God,
right here in the scene, this still gives me the willies.
Oh
it's
my
so
God.
freaky, and the fact that he's running after her, and he grabs her at the truck, like. It's so. This would terrify any kid watching this right now.
Yeah, no, it's freaking terrifying.
And then she comes to her. She wakes up, and then she's obviously in his lair. Yeah, it's so weird that obviously, Tobe Hooper and Alan Ormsby. We don't know the connection, if they have any.
But they incepted this, like, Ed Gein both at the same time.
Running after you, like Leatherface runs after
what
the character in another brunette in Texas Chainsaw Massacre that gets killed.
I can't stop thinking about the Bill Moseley hair now because I'm like, I totally see that now. I'm like, oh, Rob. I mean, look, I love Rob Zombie. I love him as a musician. As I've gotten older, I used to love his movies. As I've gotten older, I've kind of, I don't know. Some think a lot of them age all that well. I still like House of a Thousand Corpses, and I still like Devil's Rejects, but I think that's kind of his peak, man. But the funny thing is, now seeing Ezra Cobb or, Roberts Blossom with this white wig on, I'm like, that's Bill Moseley and Devil's Rejects,
Yeah, and I appreciate and love Rob Zombie's passion for horror. I do. I'm just not a huge fan of some of his movies, obviously. I actually like Devil's Rejects more than House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, me too. You mentioned the music earlier where he's playing that like organ grinder type of thing. So the 90% of this movie, the music is diegetic music, which means it's in the scene.
Right.
Now there's a composer, it's Carl Zitterer. So he does compose some music for this, but 90% of the music in the movie comes from music in the actual scene. And I think that makes it interesting because when there isn't music playing, most of the time there isn't music playing. Like if there's no music in the scene, there's no music in the movie, and that kind of makes it a bit more sinister. But he was the composer for Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, so obviously he's connected.
Yeah.
He's the composer for It's Dead of Night, but what's it called again?
Death Dream.
Death Dream. God, I keep forgetting that. But he was also the composer for Black Christmas, Prom Night, Porky's 2, and A Christmas Story.
Wow.
Yeah.
So a lot of Bob Clark, Alan Ormsby connections.
Yes, exactly.
And the music in this is all like church-based kind of organ.
Yes,
which makes sense if his mom was
religious. Yeah. Yep.
And he's got nooses behind him, which is creepy because you're like, God. What is he going to capture animals that way or?
Well, and I think that we can sort of infer that later with the sort of the climax scene.
Yeah, this is where the movie really starts just getting further dark. Like it was kind of humorous. There was a lot of humor up until this point, but from this moment on, it doesn't get, there's no more happy moments for this film.
And, and maybe that's why the narrator isn't in it here, because the narrator would absolutely take you out of this scene right here. As much as I loved it, it would destroy the suspense of this scene completely.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Now, again, this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque with the banquet.
Yeah.
And he makes her sit down at the head of the table.
Yeah. But instead of having sort of all of the family being, or most of the family being alive in Texas Chainsaw, this is all dead corpses. And she does a great job. Like, you can tell she doesn't want to look at them because she's so disturbed,
She looks a little bit like Diamond Dallas Page's ex-wife, Kimberly Page, if you guys know, you wrestling fans out there.
She does a great job,
dude.
Honestly.
This is so Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm not saying that as like they copied him or whatever.
They didn't.
It's clearly, I know Ed Gein was inspiring both of them, but the fact that this came out before that and this movie does not get the love. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a classic. I get it.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
And is this movie a classic? It's not a classic.
It's a cult classic.
But it's a cult classic. It's terrifyingly good. And the fact that there's so many vibes of like I said it earlier, I'll say it again. They're perfect companion pieces for one another because they're doing the same thing. He's not eating the flesh of anyone yet. But the fact that he is the hitchhiker.
Yeah. It's the whole movie's about, the hitchhiker essentially. And what I love about this scene is he is showing off his skills to her. Like he's like, I can play music. He's got this little violin that he can play or something.
You see the arm on the wall?
There's an arm hanging on the wall, but he doesn't even pay attention to that arm. But here, he's like, I can make a drum out of human skin and a thigh bone. But this is not him. He's not doing this to scare her. He's literally doing this, and he says it. He's like, I'm doing this to show you that I have value. And that's what, to me, is scarier, because what he doesn't understand is that is horrifying. That he doesn't get that.
I'm wondering, too, because he shows, he doesn't get that he's taken flesh and made it into instruments.
Yeah, he just says it. He's like, I'm just trying to show you I got talents. You know, he's like, I got talents too. He's like, he knows he's not a handsome man, you know, so he knows that, like, he needs to have something else. And he thinks that these are all going to woo her.
Is this what Forrest Gump basically did?
God, I hate that fucking movie.
I'm just a man. I'm just a simple man. I don't know if he even says that in the movie. I don't even care. What if Forrest Gump was Ezra Cobb?
I mean, I would take Ezra Cobb over Forrest Gump. I would rather spend a day with Ezra Cobb than Forrest Gump.
I think we just made Forrest Gump 10 times more interesting by making...
It's a prequel.
him into this guy. Yeah. His mother dies. You know, he has to take care of her. And that's Jenny.
Jenny.
Yep.
Oh, God.
So anyways.
And I love how he's eating those buns out of that skull, you know?
Yeah, it's so brilliant, like in the like very subtle stuff. You know, I know Robert Blossom didn't like this movie or whatever, but
he's amazing in it.
I think this movie has greater value now in 2025 than it did back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely more.
I think it holds up well.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and she's pretty smart. She tricks him into untying her and all this kind of stuff. Like but she doesn't quite get away like Sally does.
No, sadly, and I could see this scene being uncomfortable for her because he's so disturbing looking. And this is probably the moment where they wanted her to do a nude scene, but obviously that didn't happen. And I'm glad it didn't happen. I
mean, there is going to be nudity in the movie. It's just, I personally don't think it needed it right here. I think actually the thing is, having that lacy underwear sort of juxtaposed with all the dead bodies, like, I don't know, there's something freakier about it than if she was just naked. Then he's like just groping at her and like pinching her nipple because he has no clue what to do with, the female body. Because he's always, anytime he's touched a female body, they've been dead. So he's been able to do whatever the hell he wants to it, you know?
And I think, too, this is so hard to watch because, like, not in a bad way, but like you just know that she's suffering right now inside.
Yeah.
But she's not stupid, and she does a pretty damn good job about, trying to get out of the house.
Yeah, you gotta give her props. She tries, It's not enough, unfortunately. She should have gone for the killing blow, the death blow.
He's got fresh flowers on the table though, which I appreciate because he's he wants to classy up the place for her.
And again, and then of course that's like candy glass or whatever. But again, like all these things, like the arm hanging on the wall, he's not doing it for shock value. He's not doing it to scare anybody. He's doing it because he thinks that like this looks good. That's what's scarier. But of course, that's also what makes Texas Chainsaw Massacre work as well. It's if you were like, oh, I'm doing this so I could scare you, that doesn't work. Like all villains, they don't know that they're the villain. Or a well-written villain in a movie doesn't know that they're the bad guy.
Yeah, he doesn't think he's,
he doesn't know he's the bad guy.
Some people put posters of Corvettes on their walls. He puts severed arms.
Severed arms.
And she almost gets away.
If the door wasn't locked.
And I love the fact that the camera slows down. It's the first time in the movie that happens. I think it happens at the end, too.
It happens at the end, but that's post-production slow-mo, which I hate because you have to basically add frames to it and it looks terrible.
Yeah.
This was slow-mo filmed in the camera, and for me, that's the only time slow motion actually works, is when you film it in camera. So here we go. He gets hit. He hits her in the head with this femur, leg bone. And it's great because it's just, there was a blood bag on the end of the fake bone, the plastic bone, and he kind of hits her with it and it sort of pops and it looks great.
And this
freeze frame.
Yeah.
Dude, this freeze frame is great.
Freeze frame always freaks me out.
And the fact then that it cuts to him sitting next to his, childhood friend that he lives next door to. All these horrible things are happening next door, and this guy's completely oblivious to it. And then Ezra's cleaning like a rifle, which is like, it's this thing that obviously is made to kill people, but he doesn't look at it like that. He doesn't care. He's just cleaning it, know?
Yeah, he's got, like, the fact that they hang out all the time, and this is going on, that next door. I mean, when we say next door, though, they're a farm away. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's probably like acres away. So they don't hear the screams and stuff, but it's technically the next property over.
Yeah, you remember the old days when people just bring a rifle in the house and just hang out and like, I'm
clean it.
I'm gonna stroke my rifle while you're reading the newspaper.
And then, so the dad reading the newspaper is like, oh, they're never going to find that poor lady, you know, the poor waitress that went missing. And Ezra's like, oh, I got her. And the guy's like, what? And he's like, no, I got her in my house, you know, so, you know, it's okay. I'm just telling you that because I don't want you to have to worry. And the dad is, you know, his friend, Coots, you know, whatever. He's like, dude, you can't talk like that. Like, that's crazy talk. And he doesn't take him seriously. He just thinks he's just saying things. But everything that Ezra says is truthful. Everything
up until this point too, in this time era, we were still of the mindset of if your next door neighbor's nice, you got nothing to worry about.
Well, I also think that it was a bit of a Wisconsin thing as well. You know, I do think it's a Wisconsinite sort of mentality. The young lady here, I mean, she's absolutely beautiful. Sally is played by Pat Orr. She's only done two things. She's done this and this, like a movie called Doom Watch. So she's from Ontario. She was just a young lady in Ontario. And apparently, a few years ago, Alan Ormsby, put, the script for this up on eBay. And she's the one that bought it. Like it was one of like the shooting scripts, and she
really?
bought it off of eBay. Yeah.
Wow. So she clearly.
She's very proud of being in this movie, even though, this movie doesn't treat her very well.
I mean, that's interesting.
They treated her well. She didn't have a problem with them. I'm saying the movie doesn't treat her character well.
That's really interesting. Okay, well, and she's great
for being like not an actor.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm really also the fact that when the other son shows up, I'm like, oh yeah, he's got two kids. I forgot.
Yep, the older one. Yeah.
So yeah, this is small town.
The local 5 and dime, or it's like a catch-all store that has everything.
Yeah,
you know?
And that zoom in that they just do this quick zoom in on Ezra lurking on her now. It's so terrifying because he's officially now he's creepy as hell.
Yeah.
After wearing the flesh mask and running through the house, and it looks the son's got an interesting orange hat on his head. It looks like just brain matter.
It is. I mean, it's a hunting cap.
And he's wearing skinny jeans.
He's wearing skinny jeans. Everything comes back, baby.
What?
All fashion fucking comes back.
The son is dressed like if he walked around Abbot Kinney right now in Venice, people would think he's super cool. Just his whole outfit screams like modern. It screams modern. And Drunk Boy's back.
Yeah. And you notice he's buying Alka-Seltzer because he's hungover. Like, what a great sort of connection.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, and he is totally a pervert. The way he looks at her,
of course,
you just know.
Going back to like talking about, fashion, kind of cyclical and everything. There was a time in I think like late '90s, early 2000s when they re-released Star Wars: A New Hope. I think it was a special edition, but at the moment that it came out. 70s style hair was in vogue at the time, and so everyone had that moppy, foppy look to it.
Yeah.
And it was the only time that I ever watched Star Wars. I mean, I saw it in the theater, but it was the only time I ever watched Star Wars where it felt like Luke felt contemporary because everyone had his hairstyle for like that 1 year. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Like 70s style was like big for like 1 year.
Yeah, people stopped putting pomade or gel in their hair, and
it was just funny how, like, I was watching, and it was a whole different perspective on the movie because then Star Wars no longer felt like a 70s movie to me because it was like, it felt contemporary.
And then, when you see a backpack and a rolling bag in Phantom Menace, and you go, oh, look, it's contemporary again. They sell this at Old Navy.
I know what you're talking about.
Just kidding. Sort of. Not really. But yeah, the fact that he frames the rifle on her head.
Yeah.
Now, so I guess you got to talk about, and I'm distracted by the giant piece of tape on the back of Coots. I think that's you're supposed to put something in there.
It's for like your hunting license, or whatever. You put it back there.
Okay, so when he puts the rifle on her, this is all stuff that was reshot.
No. All right. So this is what it's building up to. So Ezra is gonna, you know what.
I feel like you got to talk about this because of that scene.
Right. So eventually, and just very soon, I mean, we only have literally like 15 minutes left in the movie. Ezra's going to chase Sally through the woods. What we see is Ezra chasing the actor Sally, through the woods, Pat Orr, and they wanted originally to have him chasing a deer. And in his head, he's hunting a deer. They had no time to do this. They had no budget. They're like, how do we film a deer? Like, you either have to get B footage or you have to go out and take the time to film a deer.
Right.
And on a low budget movie, that's not going to happen. So what Alan Ormsby sort of, lamented was the fact that Ezra comes off as more evil because it's like he's hunting Sally, where the original intent was him hunting a deer, and he doesn't realize that it's Sally. And at the very, very end, he comes to that realization, and we'll talk about that. But I think that starts here. Like, I think it's starting to merge. Like, I think he knows it's Sally. I think he does know that, but we see a deer head right behind her. And I think that this is when in his head, it starts merging into one thing. Maybe, I don't know. Like, that's not what the movie technically projects. I'm just going off of what Alan Ormsby, who is the screenwriter and the co-director of the film, said. But I don't know where the deer was supposed to come into play. Like, does he see a deer reading a book right here? Like, is that what he sees?
So my take is that this is all intentional. He even snarls at her. You saw that in a couple scenes, a couple frames earlier.
Right.
And then the final scene where he's having his meltdown and crying or whatever, losing his mind. It's like that was separate from this. Like or maybe he's got two personalities, he's got the angel versus devil. And right now he's got the devil mindset. He's obsessed and he wants a new woman. And at the end he comes to his senses and is like, what did I do? The horrible thing I just did, And so that's the deranged part of the story. That's
because he's not supposed to be quote unquote evil. He's deranged.
Yeah.
So right here, do you think the movie's telling us Ezra knows he's shooting Sally right here, right? So, but do you think Alan Ormsby intended this to also be Sally, or did he intend it to be a deer right here?
I feel like it's supposed to be Sally.
Right, but when he's in the woods is when she kind of turns into a deer, essentially.
But does he see her? Okay, so one can say, does he see her as a defenseless animal like a deer?
Right,
and
in general.
Yeah, and I think... Yeah, if this was made now, I would see her morphing into, I think of that terrible movie Sleepwalkers.
Right, yeah.
Where he turns into a cat.
Yeah.
Like she would morph into a deer and then morph back into her human form.
In order for the audience to understand what was in the head of Ezra. But I mean, we have to go by what the movie is showing us. And right now he's just fully insane at this point. He's so insane that he couldn't even pull off a freaking 10-yard shot to kill her.
Right.
He grazes her forehead.
Yeah.
So she wakes up in the back of his truck.
So he's not a hunter.
No, I don't think he's that great.
I think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre in when what is it? Is it Sally?
Sally.
When she gets away and then
Sally and Sally.
Yeah, and Sally's picked up in the truck.
Yeah.
And then he has her. The gas station owner, whatever his name is, has her in the front seat, and he's whacking her with a stick.
Yeah, my God, it's just insane that they came out at the same time, and they had to have not known. How could they have known? How could they have freaking known?
And that character's name is Old Man. It's Jim Sydow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's so many great parallels. And again, look at young Buck's boots and socks. That is so hip. I love it.
I know he looks contemporary.
By the way, bear traps. Looking at this bear trap, this is a legit bear trap with the teeth.
Yeah.
Versus the
one in Devil Times 5.
Yes.
People Toys.
People Toys.
Yeah, that one was it's like the flat one. I guess it just breaks bones. It doesn't puncture.
This is gonna puncture.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this is gnarly. So the dad and her boyfriend and his dad, the next door neighbors, are placing bear traps. I guess it's for the deer. I don't know. I don't hunt, guys and gals. I have no idea. I feel like that they're also illegal too, right?
Yeah, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, I feel terrible for any animal that's had to endure that kind of pain. And
it sucks here because Sally finds their car, but they're so far from it that they don't hear her, yelling. But first time I watched this, I thought she was going to get away.
Me too.
So did my wife. Myra watched this too, and I'm sure I mentioned it in the intro that we talked about it, but my wife watched it with me the first time. She loved it. We both loved this movie.
So there's 3 total kills in this film.
Yeah.
And this is obviously the final one. But this is not as terrifying as the waitress getting killed.
This one's more sad.
Yeah, this is just sad.
So he's chasing her through the woods. So this, I mean, I can confirm here that Alan Ormsby said that he's supposed to be chasing a deer. So from this point on and up until the gutting scene later, he sees a deer. And that's what they wanted. But what I don't know is if that's what he saw in the store.
I think knowing that and after processing and thinking about it, it makes more sense that he saw the deer in the store and he's just so out of his mind.
Oh, she stepped in the trap, and you knew it was coming. You know it's fucking coming, and it's still horrible every time it happens.
It's so painful. Like, the scene in Chainsaw Massacre when the woman gets put on the meat hook.
Yeah.
Like, you barely see it, and it's not gory, but you know it's painful as hell.
From her facial expression. And it's the same here with Pat Orr. I mean, her IMDb photo is her screaming at the camera. That's how much she loves this movie.
Clearly proud of her work on this.
She's great in this movie, you know?
She's still alive?
I believe she is.
Oh,
yeah, because she must have... Yeah, no, she's still alive. I think she's living up in Ontario.
All right.
I don't think she's she's not a working actor. She just did this and something else.
Our boy Lee, I'm sure.
Yeah, Lee.
Come on, Lee. Get on this and go do some research on Pat Orr.
You go do that.
You go do that, buddy.
And then she tries to hide. But first time I watched it, I was like, well, but isn't he going to see the chain? Yeah. And I love the fact that he does.
What would you do in this situation?
I'd rush him. Well, first off, take your foot out of the chain because she can't. She's stuck to the chain. But at this point, just rush him.
I guess that's all you could do.
Hope for the best,
and just scream.
Yeah, just keep screaming. Don't stop screaming, man.
And if you were Ezra, would you just start plugging away with the gun?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Although he might, but you know what? Her rushing him, screaming might have shaken his, derangement, though.
That's true.
Would
you? Yeah. So
again, here he's gonna pull her out of her hiding place, which is also terrifying because he pulls her out by the chain, which her leg is hooked to, and she's screaming, but he still thinks it's a deer.
Would you think it's a deer?
Would I think it's I'm not deranged.
I'm saying
you're a deer right now. I look over and I see Zach next to me. He's just a deer. I'm not the problem here.
Am
Zach.
I a deer?
You're a deer.
And would you?
You think real quick that he's not gonna do it?
Yes, there is a moment
where he kind of pauses and lowers it, and then he's like, "Nope, you're a deer."
Would you pull the trigger?
Of course. If that's a deer, then yes.
Okay. You're on the stand right now.
And then I love the fact that her boyfriend and the father hear the gunshot, but it's hunting season, so it's just another, hunter out there.
Yeah, it's just, Ed Gein or Ezra Cobb in the back, and it could be anybody.
Anybody. Doesn't matter.
I love this, though, that they pan down. It's so sad because you're like, this...
Her books that she was reading.
Yeah, and the fact that her life is now gone, the glasses are broken. It's so sad.
Yeah.
You're right. It is. But I do like this, that they go back to the shop. There is quick resolution.
Yeah.
For these last few minutes of the movie.
Yeah. It's very fast. I mean, this movie is very well paced, and yes, it is like an hour and 23 minutes, which for this movie is perfect. But what we were just talking to your son Bodie about something that was like 2 hours long, but no one cared. It's all about pacing, guys and gals.
Yeah.
It's not about the runtime; it's how it's paced. And this movie is so fast. And so here he drags her body back and he hangs it up to sort of gut it and everything. But it's still a deer. It's still in his head. It's a deer.
And that's something they found at Ed Gein's place.
Oh, people hung up and gutted and everything?
I think he found, at least one person.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure about that.
Okay.
And I love how the sheriff here, he's talking to Coots and his son about Sally, and he hops in their car with them. Yeah,
and I like how he's like, well, the receipt says you guys were the last ones here, and they're like, no, Ezra Cobb was also here, and they're like, oh my God, let's go, we got to go to that place. But yeah, he just hops in their car, and they all sort of go together.
Give me a ride.
I mean, she's butt naked. Pat Orr is butt naked. Sally upside down. I mean, she's dead. The character's dead, but the actor's not, so she has goosebumps and everything, you know. But apparently, in between takes, Tom Savini would come running in and put a towel over her. Oh. And Tom Savini was a bit of a ladies' man back then, and so like Alan Ormsby was like, of course Tom would have to come to the rescue, you know, to help her out. But I mean,
my God, though, like he pulls that knife off the wall. You know that knife's all rusty. Like whatever, it's dead, but it's so gross just to think about that. And he's putting the knife in her body, and it's that they don't show it. And again,
which is
less
great.
Is more.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave it up to your imagination, man. Like you just see the blood running down her heaving bosoms,
and it's that coagulated fake blood. That causes me to sneeze every time I see fake blood. It causes me to sneeze because, like, but again, this is 70s. It takes you out of it a little bit because it's
that
just
bright red paint blood, you know.
But super, you know, like the quick cuts of his mom looking at her.
Yeah, so this is where look, Ezra looks at the bloody knife, then looks back at her. This is when he realizes it's not a deer. Like this is when he comes to his senses. Now the movie, I think, sort of. The way it's edited is supposed to be like it's sort of his mom brings him back to his senses. But knowing what Alan Ormsby's original intent was, this makes more sense to me. Is the fact that he's like, I didn't want to kill this young lady. And he probably knew Sally.
Yeah,
you know?
and these shots of just this barn that's terrifying.
And so my wife's biggest complaint about the movie was she was like, it ends so abruptly. She's like, he's gutting the lady, and then he's just like, oh no, and then kind of, and you know. And I explained to her what the original intent was, and she was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. But Myra's original thought was like, oh, this ended too abruptly.
And nowadays, though, they would give you another 30 minutes of just blah, blah, blah. Dude, this is perfect.
How did the dad let his son, like, hide your son from seeing his girlfriend's dead body hanging upside down?
Oh, my God, so creepy.
The son, the boyfriend, goes to, like, you know, help her. It's like, dude, and then they rush inside the house.
And I love this slow motion. Everything that's happening these last few moments is so terrifying.
Yeah.
And this is my second favorite moment of the movie outside of him wearing the skin mask, like sitting at the table just moaning.
Oh my God.
It's terrifying.
It is. It's absolutely freaking terrifying. Now, I do hate post-production slow-mo, but I like how it's used. Like, I understand the mentality of it.
It's better than Devil Times 5, I could tell you that.
Yeah. And then look at him. Yeah, he's so... Like, because, you know, he's so upset. He's probably so upset by what he just did that he had to break it down and just bury it back down inside of him, you know?
And he just completely lost it.
Yep, sitting with his dead mother at the table, just laughing. And, you know, the sheriff just looks mortified. And it's just like, the evil has been in front of us this whole entire time.
This 70s freeze frame with the narration still gives me goosebumps. To me, it's probably my favorite era of pure horror.
And so they talk about the town, the city burning down the farm. They did that to Ed Gein's house too.
Yes,
I think the fire marshal, because I think the fire marshal's like head of the fire department, like his daughter or something was one of the victims.
Yes.
So I think he burned it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it, dude. Like what a fast movie. It's so quick. Runtime, yes, but also like just pacing wise, and I am shocked we didn't stop talking this entire time.
I know that, and it says that this picture was suggested by actual events.
Yeah,
and yeah, clearly, like this happened. It will continue. Probably it's happened many times, and I love the fact that we broke it down this way, doing this commentary. Did you guys like this? If you did,
please let us know.
Yeah, and we will do more like this, all things considered, if it's relatively short.
Yeah, because we did this because Zach and I are actually here, you know, face to face when we're recording this, but I think we can do something like this over Zoom, you know, like we can still do this. But this was fun, dude. I've been wanting to do a commentary track with you for a while.
Likewise.
And yeah, and it just kind of worked out that, you know, we're going to Pasadena Comic-Con tomorrow, so I'm in town, and we're literally sitting, you know, on the bed that I'm going to sleep on tonight, and you know, we're right next to each other, just staring at the iPad, you know. But this is fun, dude.
Yeah, this is You're giving a lot of information.
Yeah.
There's Richard Marx playing in the background. Whoa, every moment. No, I love that we're doing it this way. And yeah, all the stuff that we're recording right now is on location. We're doing some fun Patreon stuff for both $2 Late Fee and Podcasting After Dark. So if you want to support either show, go to patreon.com/podcasting after dark or go to patreon.com/$2 Late Fee. Support the shows either way. We're doing a wrap up together. We're doing Tales from the Video Store together.
We're going to shoot something different, and a very different episode that might be interesting. And if you listen to our Howling episode, you'll kind of get an idea of what that is. But I think you guys will like it, and we're going to record that together here too.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff. And clearly, wanted to do something fun for you guys and let us know. We've done, different breakdowns like we did with Predator, and we've done in the past with Rituals. Yeah. But this one is also another variation on what you guys love from us.
Yeah, so please give us feedback. We obviously did this this is a Zach pick movie. We didn't want to do it with a Patreon pick because, that's not what they paid for essentially. But please, guys and gals, let us know, did you like the audio commentary track? Was this fun? Do you want us to do more of these? Just let us know. Comments, emails, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Zach, I guess all I can say is, or all we can say is,
we'll catch you on the dark side.
Should we try that together?
Yeah, in 3, 2, 1.
We'll catch you on the dark side.
Hey, not bad.
Yeah.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Support Podcasting After Dark on Patreon. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcasting After Dark. And visit us next time for another installment of Podcasting After Dark with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim.
And I'm Dean.
And we're the hosts of Talking Back. We're a retro-based podcast covering movies, comics, video games, and more.
Check us out every Monday where we hit the rewind button and dig into some of our favorite content from the past. We like to keep things fun, lighthearted, and informative.
Do you feel like you need more nostalgia in your life? Then check out Talking Back. We're available everywhere podcasts are found.